Hello students, welcome to All Force e-learning channel. This is K. Nageshwar Rao, physics faculty, and today we are in session number 85. In the last session, we have discussed about Ohm's law, and Ohm's law related certain key points were discussed, isn't it? And when we have discussed about Ohm's law, one constant of proportionality was introduced when V is directly proportional to I, one constant of proportionality was introduced, that is named as electrical resistance. And I told you about resistance, brief info was already given. Resistance is what? It is the hindrance posed to the passage of electrons through the conductor. And who is who is opposing the passage of the electrons? The conductor itself is opposing the passage of the electrons. Whatever atoms are present inside the conductor, they are opposing. Because when the charge is flowing inside the conductor, the path is not open for the charge. It's not like, there will be by default channels, certain channels. Through those channels, they just pass like that. It won't happen like that. So frequently when these electrons are moving inside the conductor, they collide with the atomic sites and they bounce back, they go and they move ahead and again they bounce back like that, randomly they keep on moving, but there will be a net flow in a direction opposite to the electric field, isn't it? So whatever these collisions were taking place, collisions are taking place in the sense what is happening? Their motion is being opposed, and that's what named as resistance. That's what named as electrical resistance. So let us try to understand this electrical resistance picture a bit more. Okay, how do we write this resistance mathematically? Resistance R is equal to V by I, ratio between potential difference and the electric current. That's how you can write, isn't it? Let me take a conductor like this. Let us say this side is connected to positive terminal of the battery, this side is connected to negative terminal of the battery. So electric field will be along this direction. So electron will be moving in opposite to the electric field direction. So what happens now? When this electron is moving inside the conductor, it continuously collides with the atomic sites. If the temperature is raised, what happens? The rate of collisions increases. Rate of collisions in the sense number of collisions taking place per second for unit time increases, isn't it? It means resistance increases, and this happens only with conductors. Children, since the situation has come, I'd like to talk about semiconductors a bit. See, based on conductivity of electricity, you can categorize materials into three types: conductors, semiconductors, insulators. Insulators are bad conductors of electricity, they don't conduct. Semiconductors, partially they conduct electricity. They were able to, conductors were able to conduct electricity very well because of availability of plenty of free electrons. Whereas in case of semiconductor also, free electrons won't be available, but when the temperature is raised, what happens? Electrons which are present in the valence shell, they jump a little bit away from the nucleus and they enter into a band called conduction band. Okay, you will come to know about all these details in some other chapter. Okay, but for time being, try to have an idea. Okay, so because of rise in temperature, what is happening in case of semiconductors? The availability of electrons is increasing. If availability of electrons is increasing, there will be passage of current. So unlike in the case of conductors, in semiconductors, what is happening when the temperature is raised? The conductivity is increasing. But here, already plenty of electrons are available, almost like it's like a free electron gas inside the conductor. Such a huge number of electrons are available. So when you raise the temperature, what happens? All those things will be moving randomly. They suffer frequent collisions, with the atomic sites, and the rate of collisions, number of collisions taking place per unit time increases and resistance increases. And what happens if they are colliding with the atomic sites? Heat energy will be liberated. Heat energy will be liberated, isn't it? That's why, whatever electronic gadgets we use, when we touch them, sometimes we can, we can actually sense the hotness of the electronic devices. Temperature rises for those electronic devices because of passage of electricity for a long time, isn't it? So that's what an idea you can have regarding resistance. Now let us talk about on what factors or what actually can influence the resistance. See, there are four things you can talk about. The dependency of resistance is on these four factors. Okay, resistance depends on, first one, shape. Yeah, it depends on the shape. Okay, dimensions, length, area, on all these things. Second one, nature of the material. See, all the materials will not have same resistance. Different materials will have different degree of resistances, okay, for a given shape. Nature of material. The third one is temperature. Yeah, we have been talking about this temperature influence over the resistance. When the temperature rises, what happens? Resistance will increase. So resistance can be influenced by changing the temperature. And the fourth one is impurities. Impurities in the sense, if you keep any foreign entity inside a conductor, okay, if you add some other material to the conductor, then also what happens to the resistance? Resistance gets influenced. I'll tell you actually, what influence in the sense, the resistance may increase, may decrease. But here in all these cases, see, shape, okay, we'll talk about shape a little bit, clearly. Nature of the material, depending upon nature of the material, availability of number of valence electrons will be different, and atoms size will be different, and inside the space available for the passage of electrons will be different. So nature of the material can influence the resistance. So from material to material, resistance will be different. And when the temperature rises, what happens to the resistance? Resistance increases. And when impurities concentration increases, then also what happens? Resistance increases. Impurities concentration is increasing in the sense what the foreign atoms are sitting inside the lattice of this conductor. So obviously, number of collisions increases. So because of that also resistance increases. So that's how these things can influence the resistance. Let us talk more precisely what factors connected with this shape can influence the resistance. Okay, factors affecting resistance. See, first one is, let us talk about length. I have taken a small wire. Let us say its length is some 50 centimeters. Okay, and definitely let us say it's a copper wire. Definitely it offers some resistance to the flow of electrons, for the flow of current through it, isn't it? Now, what happens if the length is increased? Let us say now I have taken another copper wire of length equal to 100 centimeters. 100 centimeters. See, when you take 50 centimeter length of copper wire, yes, throughout the length of this copper wire, when the charge is flowing, it is being opposed. I mean, resistance is offered, isn't it? So when you double the length, what happens? Obviously the resistance, because all the way it has to travel, the charged particles, electrons, they have to travel all the way till the other end, isn't it? So now the length is more. If length is more, obviously they will be opposed more inside the conductor. So if length increases, what happens to the resistance? Resistance also increases. So with this bare observation, what you can write here, you can write like this: resistance is directly proportional to length. Resistance is directly proportional to length. Let us talk about one more important parameter: area. What? Area. When you take area, for example, 1 square centimeter area is there for a wire. Okay, cross-sectional area, I mean to say cross-sectional area, not the curved surface area, cross-sectional area. So the electrons are entering into this cross-section. Okay, let us say some 100 electrons are entering. Okay, what do we call electric current? Electric current is called as rate of flow of charge. So let us say per unit time 100 electrons are entering into the cross-section. Now what happens if you double the cross-section, if you increase the cross-sectional area, more number of electrons can be made to enter into the conductor, isn't it? If more number of electrons are entering per unit time, what do we say? We say that electric current is more, isn't it? So it's here you can understand this picture in connection with this resistance as, if area increases, resistance decreases, isn't it? If area increases, resistance decreases. That's what conclusion you can come to. So coming to this relation between resistance and area is what? R is inversely proportional to area. If area increases, resistance decreases. If area decreases, resistance will increase. That's what conclusion you can draw. So combining these two relations, what you can write, therefore R is directly proportional to L by A. And here I am going to introduce one constant of proportionality. R is equal to rho into L by A, where this rho is constant of proportionality, and I call this as resistivity. This is named as resistivity, or this can also be called as specific resistance. Specific resistance. It's better if you are aware of all these names. Okay, if you are aware of only this resistivity word, sometimes in the questions he will mention this word specific resistance, and you will start thinking about what this new word is. It's better if you are aware of all these names. So this rho is called as resistivity, or it can also be called as a specific resistance. And whatever this resistivity is there, regarding this also we need to have an idea. I'll tell you right away here itself. It is independent of shape of the material. Shape of the materials. So what I meant to say is it is independent of shape of material in the sense, and I'm not talking about any other parameters. What kind of parameters? Temperature, impurities, and nature of the material. I'm not talking about those things. It is what? It is clearly what I'm saying, that it is independent of shape of the material. Whatever shape it might be, resistivity will be constant. Resistivity is specifically connected with the nature of the material. If you deal with the different materials will have different resistivity values. Though it is a constant, it is constant for a given material. It is constant for a given material. It doesn't matter whatever shape it is having. It doesn't matter. Whatever dimensions it is having, whatever cross section it is having, whatever length it is having, it doesn't matter. Okay, so it is purely connected with what nature of the material. The other things which can influence this resistivity is temperature and impurities. These two can also influence the resistivity. So resistivity basically depends on what? Nature of the material, and it depends on temperature, and it depends on what? Impurities. Okay, because when you rise the temperature, there will be change in nature of the material. Nature of the material in the sense you can take several parameters into account. Okay, and impurities, nature changes. When alloys, basically when you mix two different elements, what happens? Nature of the material will be different, isn't it? So in fact, temperature and impurities, these two things are also indirectly connected with this nature of material only, because you are changing nature of the material by tuning these two parameters. That's what you can that's how you can look at this picture. Okay, so remember children, so resistivity, it is independent of shape of the material, and it is dependent on what? It is dependent on nature of the material, temperature, and impurities. These key points you should remember. Let us get back to this equation. This is a very important equation. We can talk about this equation a little more elaborately. From this picture, what we can say that we have started with this one, right? First one, resistance is directly proportional to length. If length increases, resistance increases, isn't it? So since R is directly proportional to L, I can write this relation R1 by R2 is equal to L1 by L2. We all know directly we can write this equation. And the fractional change in resistance, if length changes, the fractional change in resistance can be expressed like this: delta R by R is equal to delta L by L. If the relation between R and L is like R is directly proportional to L, then fractional change can be expressed like this. We know about these things also. These kind of things were already taught to you in first year. Delta R by R is equal to what? Delta L by L. So these things are a bit important. Sometimes questions will be like this. Length is increased by so and so. Okay, so length is increased by so and so in the sense, in two different ways length can be increased. Two different ways in the sense, you are supposed to be very keen when you read a question. If length is doubled, it conveys two different meanings. Length is doubled in the sense, initially a wire of length L is taken. Later, similar kind of material with the same cross section, with the same nature, another wire is taken whose length is double the length of the initial one. Or you can also double the length in the other way. You can stretch it, right? Isn't it? You can stretch it. But in both the cases, it will be different. If you have taken a wire of length L, okay, if it is slightly elongated, you can go with this equation, no issues. Okay. If it is significantly elongated, if it is significantly stretched, the area gets tuned. Area gets, it reduces. There will be some strain in the cross section, isn't it? It decreases, isn't it? So you have to be very careful. And the other thing that we have seen here is this one, resistance relation with the area. How it was written? R is inversely proportional to A. So here you can write like this: relation between two different resistances. corresponding to area A1, resistance let us say R1, corresponding to another area A2, resistance is R2. Okay, so R1 by R2 is equal to what? A2 by A1, and the fractional change in resistance delta R by R can be expressed like this, minus delta A by A. Okay, this minus sign indicates that if one is increasing, the other one is decreasing, because both are inversely related, right? So that's how you can have some fundamental data connected with this L and E. But we are not yet done. Let us talk about this relation a little bit more, because we can have a chance to solve several problems connected with this equation. Okay, so let us try to deal with a little bit more. So I'll take the same equation again. R is equal to rho into L by A. R is what? R is equal to rho into L by A. See, whatever material I have taken, let us say it's a conductor of length L. Let us say its cross-section area is A. Let us say its mass is M. If cross-section area is A, length is L, volume V can be written as A into L. We have already talked about this in the previous sessions. Let us say density is D. Density of this material is D. Therefore, volume V can be expressed as density is equal to what? Basically, mass by volume, right? So volume can be expressed as mass by density. Now, using this data, we can modify this equation. See, always you should be aware of mathematical manipulations that we do with equations, known equations, because questions won't be directly connected with this equation. We should be aware of what all kinds of forms of this equation. Then only we will be able to handle the questions sometimes very comfortably. Because if you are connected with only this equation, length and area, suddenly in a question density and mass related data was given, or volume related data is given, and you will be in trouble in such cases. So it's better, it's suggestible to all of you to make sure that you are aware of all these various forms of the given equation. Now I'm going to change this one. See, whatever this equation is there, in that equation, to the numerator and to the denominator I will multiply with L. So what happens in the numerator, it becomes L square. In the denominator we will have AL. A into L, cross section area into length is what? Volume. So our equation becomes rho L square by volume. Okay. And another form, I'll go with another form. R is equal to rho into, I'll multiply with the area, both to the numerator and to the denominator, A. And in the denominator, what you will have? A square. L into A is what? Volume. So rho V by A square. Okay. And here you can also write one more equation. Area A can be replaced with what? Pi r square. If radius of cross section is known to you, you can express this area as pi r square. So further this equation can be modified like this: rho V by pi square r square whole square, r power 4. That's how you can write, isn't it? And what about mass and density? In terms of mass and density, let us pick up this equation. Whatever equation was written here, R is equal to rho L square, and this V can be replaced with mass by density. Okay. So in terms of mass and density, this is how you can express the resistance. And what else? What else we can do? That's all. So like this, you can transform this equation into various forms, and all these equations are connected with this main equation. R is equal to rho into L by A. Depending upon the data given in the question, you are supposed to choose appropriate equation. Okay. And anyways, I will discuss few problems with you. You will come to know how to make use of these details to solve the questions. I'll tell you. Okay. And let us discuss about this a bit more. I'm going to take a conductor and I will stretch that. Let the conductor is stretched. Let the conductor is stretched. Okay. If the conductor is stretched, what happens? Its length increases and cross-section area decreases. Okay, but volume remains constant. So we can make use of this data to understand the picture, isn't it? So what I'll start with this one, since volume is constant. Okay, I'll start with this equation. Since R is equal to rho L square by V. So when the conductor is stretched, volume is constant and resistivity, it is anyways constant. So what you can write from this equation directly, R is directly proportional to L square. By mistake, sometimes the students will make use of this equation directly, R directly proportional to L. If it is stretched, length is increasing, so R is directly proportional to L, and they will take this equation directly, R directly proportional to L, and they will try to solve the problem. Okay, but here, remember children, when it is stretched, simultaneously there is a change in area. If you are considering only change in L, what about change in area? You can consider change in length only when R is directly proportional to L, and rho and A should be constants. Rho anyways constant. If A is also constant, then only you can write R as the directly proportional to L, and you can make use of that equation. But here, A is not constant, so you have to use this equation. So R is directly proportional to L, and further connected with this one, you can write details like this: R1 by R2 is equal to L1 square by L2 square, and connected with this one, fractional change in resistance can be written as delta R by R is equal to 2 into delta L by L. Okay, so that's how we handle the data. What if in the question, sometimes he will give us data related to changes in length. Sometimes he will say that the cross-sectional area is decreased by so and so. If cross-sectional area related details were given, you can make use of this equation. R is equal to what? Rho V by A square. Since R is equal to rho V by A square, and volume, it's constant, rho, it's constant. So what you can write? R is inversely proportional to A square. If this is the situation, you can write like this: R1 by R2 is equal to A2 square by A1 square, isn't it? And connected with this, the fractional change in resistance can be expressed like this: delta R by R is equal to minus 2 into delta A by A. This negative sign indicates that both are inversely related. Okay, and if it is inversely proportional to A square, here A can be replaced with what? Pi R square. Pi R square whole square is what? Pi square R power 4. Pi anyways, it's a constant, so you can also write here as R inversely proportional to R power 4, where capital R is resistance, this is small r is what? Radius of the cross section of the wire. So it is inversely proportional to 4th power of radius of the cross section of the wire. And connected with this radius of the cross section, you can write details like this: R1 by R2 is equal to R2 power 4 by R1 power 4. And for small changes, you can write like this: fractional change as delta R by R is equal to minus 4 into delta R by R. So what equation you pick up from this picture, it depends on what data is given in the question. Okay, so whatever problems we'll solve, that clearly gives you an idea how to handle this data. Okay, so let us proceed further. We'll discuss about this one a bit more. I'll describe a few situations, and in those situations I'll try to analyze how the resistance changes. Let the wire is stretched, conducting wire is stretched such that the length has become n times of initial length. So what happened initially, let us say length of the wire is L, and finally how much is the length? NL. And here it is stretched. If it is stretched, the relation between resistance and length is what? R is directly proportional to L square. Since R is directly proportional to L square, R1 by R2 is equal to, let us say R1 is R, R2 is, we don't know, we have to find out that, right? So R1 by R2 is equal to L1 square by L2 square. Here L1 is taken as L, so L square. L2 is what? NL, so N square L square. And R1 is what? R by R2. L square gets cancelled, then R2 is what? N square R. So final resistance is equal to N square R. Okay. Let us see what if radius related details were given. Resistance is what? Inversely proportional to 4th power of the radius when the wire is stretched, isn't it? let the radius of the wire has become 1 by nth. Radius has become 1 by nth. Let R1, initial radius is R. R2 is what? R by N. Initial resistance I will take it as R. Final resistance we don't know. And what is the relation between resistance and cross-sectional radius if the wire is stretched? It's R is taken as inversely proportional to 4th power of R. So R1 by R2 is equal to R2 power 4 by R1 power 4. So here R1 is replaced with, can be replaced with R by R2 is equal to, R2 is what? R by N. R power 4 by N power 4, and R1 can be replaced with R. So you will have R power 4, R power 4, R power 4 gets cancelled, and what you are left with, R by R2 is equal to 1 by N power 4. Therefore, final resistance is equal to R into N power 4. So that's how you can understand the situation. I will describe one more situation. This is a bit important. You will see a few models based on this situation and the materials. Let the length of the wire is stretched by X percentage. By how much length of the wire is stretched? X percentage. So what happens to the resistance? By how much percentage resistance will change? Let us try to understand. When the length is increased, what happens? Resistance anyways increases, but by how much percentage it has increased? Let us try to understand that picture. I will take initial length L1 as L. Now L2 is how much? L plus X by 100 into L, because it is increased, it is stretched by how much? X percentage. So final length will be L plus X by 100 into L. And I will take resistance R1 as R, R2 as, we don't know, we have to find out that. Okay. Now, what is the relation between resistance and length? Since R is directly proportional to L square, what you can write? R1 by R2 is equal to L1 square by L2 square. What is L1 square here? L square. L2 square. Here L is there, you can take it outside. So L square into 1 plus X by 100 square. L square, H square gets cancelled. And you can replace R1 with what? R by R2 is equal to, R is what? Initial resistance, isn't it? Is equal to 1 by 1 plus X by 100 whole square. Isn't it? Now, R2 is equal to R into 1 plus X by 100 whole square. Cross multiplication is taken. So if this is expanded A plus B whole square, what you will get? R into 1 plus X square by 10,000 plus 2X by 100. Okay. If this R is multiplied into the bracket, you will have R plus R of X square by 10,000 plus 2X by 100. Intentionally I am keeping it as it is. I'll tell you why. What you can write now? R2 minus R. This R is taken to the LHS side, is equal to R into X square by 10,000 plus 2X by 100. So R2 minus R by R is equal to X square by, this can be written as fractional change delta R by R. If you multiply with 100, what you will get? You will get percentage change, isn't it? Is equal to X square by into 100. So x square by 100 plus 2x. So finally this is what you are left with. When x is taken as small. So by how much percentage the resistance is increasing? 2x percentage. And here if x is significantly large, then the percentage change in resistance is how much? X square by 100 plus 2x percentage change, percentage increase. If x is very small, how much is the change in resistance? 2x percentage. Okay, so that's how you have to understand this picture. Okay, and I'll continue the class in the next session, and in the next session, based on these details, we'll try to solve some problems, and connected with the resistance, there is we can have some more discussion. We'll continue like that. Thank you, students.